Welcome to our session on Poll Everywhere. This is yet one other device that we can get or solicit communications back from our members or various other people. Normally, and we're going to show you tomorrow as well, another option for this, but this is kind of, at the moment, while you're having the presentation, event, sermon, whatever the thing is that you're doing and trying to solicit information back, here's where you can get quicker, almost instant feedback with people, where they can actually use mobile devices like their cell phones, like their computers. They could do either or. They can also do it whether it's just texting, or if they have a smartphone, they could use the web app as well, as we'll show you. So there's a lot of neat things you can do with this. Again, it's more for at the moment when you're having this event or presentation. And tomorrow we'll show you a little bit more where you can do stuff over a period of time, not necessarily right there in the moment. This is something I use when I do some teaching outside and want to solicit feedback or get people more involved with things, where they're actually answering questions instead of just texting on their phones. This is a neat thing where you can actually introduce in the beginning of the event, hey, take out your cell phones. Most people take a double take because usually you're hearing, hey, put away your cell phones, put them on the silent or vibrate mode, and so you don't disturb the instructor. Here we're going to do just the opposite. We're still going to be quiet, kind of, especially if we're doing something during a service. However, we're going to be able to have interactions. First thing we'll do is go to Poll Everywhere, and we'll make an account just like we did for everything else. Once you log in, you'll either have the big mess I have there, mess of sorts. It's all the polls I have currently on there, or you also will have a spot where you can just see exactly how you can start and create a poll, which we'll get into as well. By clicking the big red button or tab there up the top, create poll, you'll go to this screen right here, and it'll ask you to have your poll question. Now you can be creative and have a specific question you want to have answered and get solicit feedback from people, again, with cell phones and or computers. Or you could have like an open-ended thing where anywhere during the event you want them to answer something. Now you could instantly pop in and write that question, or you can say, hey, just text me or go to this poll, and it might say name, it might say anything else, and just answer the question that I'm giving you right now. So you can be spontaneous. Yeah, I'm definitely pronouncing that word wrong. Or you can have it pre-planned where you have certain questions you want to ask during a presentation or event. So here's where you type in your question. Just as soon as you type in the question, and also, as you can see there, there's a little icon that you can click, that video camera button. I'll give you a tutorial on this. But you type in your question, and just as soon as you start typing in your question, you get this screen come up. So what is your favorite color? We could give them a bunch of different options on how we want to get the information back. Now, obviously, favorite color, you normally open that up to a bunch of different options. However, you could make it multiple choice. You could make it true. You could make it false. You could give some options. 4 favorite colors, and they got to be one of these 4, even though that might not be the answer for that person. You could leave it open-ended, and when you click on the open-ended tab, you'll see it'll come up and present itself on your screen in different formats. It could be a bubble wall, or it could be just putting the words all over the screen as they come in and as people answer them. When we get the actual poll, you'll actually be receiving stuff real time. So just as soon as they hit the send button, you're going to see it pop up on the screen, which is another kind of neat thing depending what presentations you have, whether it be in class at the church or even on the screen during a sermon. There's a clickable image, which I'll show you that I haven't used much, and in fact I'm going to start playing with a little bit more when I do some teaching, which I thought is kind of a neat thing. But they can actually pick options you give them out of a picture or a section of a picture. Take, for instance, say we're doing a class for little kids, and we want to show a picture of a bunch of different animals. When we do that, we can put a cat, a dog, a goat, an elephant, and say, hey, pick the dog, and they'll be actually able to pick on a screen what animal they want. Again, soliciting that feedback in communications. Once you click Create Poll, this screen will come up. You'll have a part of another screen too, but this is the main focus of what I want to get you to, because the other screen kind of shows the same information. So I have one there, what is your name? I want them to answer back, but how did they do that? Well, they have two options. They can go to the website, pollev.com/instructor, which would be my classroom, or they could text the word instructor, and it doesn't matter if it's capitals, lowercase, doesn't matter how they enter it, but they put that in the message spot of the text, and the phone number or the person they're trying to text to would be 37607. Once they do that, they'll get some messages back till they get set up, and it's not really a lot of setup. They'll get a message. They'll probably say, hey, if you continue with this, there will be cost for texting. Obviously, if you have limited text, you're probably not going to use this. But if you have unlimited text, which most people do, this is no big deal. It'll come back and it'll say, you've been entered or you've been allowed into so-and-so's classroom. In my case, it'll be Frank Friend. But it'll be your classroom, so that way you know they're in the right classroom. Once they do that, every time they text after that, those answers will pop up on your screen. And like I said, it could be a bubble wall. It could be, if you have multiple choice, I'll actually show you a graph of how many people picked each one. But the neat thing about this is there's no names. Unless you downloaded the app, signed in, we're not going to know who answered those questions. So it allows the person to might be maybe a little shy, doesn't want to answer, afraid how they're going to answer, allows them to do that without being worried about, oh, they said your favorite color is blue. What are you, crazy? That's the worst color in the world. People won't have to worry about that when you send it up there. So what you have to do is do either one. You could do it either on a computer or a smartphone with the URL address, or you can just use plain simple text and do the second option there. Now over to your right, you'll see some icons. There's some other options you can use. The one that's highlighted right now there, and the one I just put a red circle around, is your activate and deactivate button. You click that and it's like a toggle switch. You click it once, you get it highlighted and filled in like that with the blue. That lets you know it's active. So it's ready to start accepting answers. If you click off of it, it won't accept answers at that point. So you can pop this up, explain how to do it, then when everybody's ready, you click activate and then they start answering. The other icon that's important here, and you have some, again, adjustments. You can lock people out without lock. You can see or hide things. But the other main function you want to see is the file. It looks like a file box or file drawer to me. That clears the option. So you get done a poll, you ask people, what was your favorite color? They answered a bunch of answers. You're done with that poll. So you can shut it down, and then you clear it. And that clears it. So you can actually use that poll again. Now, if you're not going to use it again, the clearing isn't a big deal. You go back to click polls up at the top left there. It'll take it back to your list of polls that you have, and then you can just delete it if you want. But if you're going to keep it, like I have some for classes I teach, I'll leave them up there, and then all I do is go and clear out the answers, and that can reset the poll again and do it for the next class or the next group that I'm doing a question for. Again, we may keep some polls that we might use again and again. Other ones we might just create for a one-time use deal. So you have that option. Now the other part of this screen, you'll see right here, really tells you the same information on how to log in and how people can answer your questions that you have. So when you poll those questions, it's just more in print, more directions as far as a website versus text messaging. You can get fancy and link it to your Twitter accounts, and you have some other, again, settings that you can customize that work best for you and what you're doing with it. So this is pretty neat. Again, you could have some interactive stuff. I'm going to hold off on trying to give you some of the uses that we can use for it because that's part of our discussion topic. So I want you to think about this as you understand the concept of how to use this, and think of different ways that we can use this within our church, whether it be on a Sunday, whether it be on different events we have, and so forth. Here's an option. Here's a newer one that I haven't played with much, but I'm going to start because I thought it was kind of neat, where you can upload a picture, and this is just a sample picture they had on there, where you can have a picture, and they can actually, now this is only going to work, it's not going to work with the text option, it's only going to work when you have a smartphone or you do it on a computer, because you're going to need the mouse to click on sections of the picture. My question here was, what is the symbol for gold? And we obviously have the periodic table of elements there. See how much you remember from high school science, and you can pick the particular one. It's either the LA, the FE, the AU, or the S, and you would click on that particular one, and the numbers there would change to how many people clicked and picked that particular element. This is just one example. You can get any type of picture. Another option they give you on here is a world map, and you can click on different sections, so you could do the continents, the oceans. Again, this is educational, just translate it to what we could do in church, and maybe ask different questions there. And again, the picture can be any picture you upload, and then you adjust the boxes of where you want them to click. And here's where this is actually what you would see on the user side for the instructor. As they start answering the questions on their smartphones or their computers, you'll see the results here, and you can in turn post these up on a board, a TV screen, whatever. So some pretty neat uses you can use this for, more for instantaneous than maybe long term. And again, we'll show you some options in the next 2 days when we do Google Docs on different options on how you can do stuff like that. Alright, your turn. Go make a poll. Go to polleverywhere.com, create an account like we've been doing all past last week, and make up a poll. Be creative. Come up with something original. Doesn't have to be hard, but come up with something maybe you want to ask your fellow congregation or your fellow students. Go to the discussion board, post the information on what your number is so they can access it, whether it's text or online. And what you can do after you create that poll, leave it active. Even when you log out, go back to polls and log out, but keep it active, and that way people can respond to it as they go. If it's going to be something, actually we probably need to, if they're not going to do it through the website, which actually would probably be the best thing to do is go through a website, but if not, go ahead and post your question as well, which I didn't put on the discussion board. Post your question as well so they could text it if they wanted to. Give them the option. But put your information so they can respond to it and leave that active for a few days, and you'll see people respond to it. Visit the discussion board along with giving that information. Think about different uses and how we can use this poll everywhere in our churches and how we can make things better with it, or come up with some inventive ways to get people more involved. Alright, so go ahead and try it out with your friends and your fellow students, and we will see you tomorrow.